Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for this new session, which is a very specific session as we have a topic which is not a common topic or a topic that we usually deal during our webinars. So thank you very much for this, for joining us for this presentation of our new program that is called Academic Risk Management Program. And it is a program that we launched today and about which we have worked during the 2 last years. So I will start by telling you a few words about this program, why we have worked on this topic and how we imagine the next future for this program. And then I will leave the floor to 2 colleagues, Pierre Memheld, who will present the training that he will run in a few weeks, in a few months in Rome, in Italy, and my colleague Montserrat, who will speak about a specific artificial intelligence tool about the prevention of pandemic that we launch today and that has been created thanks to Thierry Leroux, Valérie Fer, who are already with us today, and who will probably tell you a few words about this very specific tool. So first of all, why this risk academic management program? In fact, during the COVID-19 crisis, IFCU tried to promote some activities for helping our network of universities. So we have worked as a provider of information, fighting against conspiracy theories, fighting against fake news, and trying to give a clear, transparent, and scientific information. It was our first work. The second work was also to help our universities. We were facing a very specific challenge about e-learning, and so thanks to some specific partners, the Pontifical Catholic University of Chile, the Catholic Distance University in the United States, and the Catholic University of Louvain in Belgium, we launched a specific training program about e-learning, and we help more or less 200, I think, 200 teachers all around the world. The third work, which was IFCU work, was about the understanding, the analysis of this crisis. How could we understand? How could we foresee the impact of this COVID-19 crisis on our universities? And so we have organized 2 specific events. In fact, 1 event and a long-term work. The event was a first international forum, which was dedicated to a specific topic, internationalization and risk. As you know, internationalization is a very long process in our universities, but this process was perceived, was understood as a chance. And what we discovered with the crisis, with the COVID-19 crisis, it was that this internationalization process would be also a risk for our universities. So we organized this first international forum in 2020, and we also launched a specific analysis, and we published last year a specific book about COVID-19 and its impact on our universities. This book has been published in French and in English. Its title is COVID-19 Toward a World Risk Society. Thinking about this understanding of an international society as a world risk society, of course, it seems to us obvious to understand not only what could be the impact, but also how our universities could transform themselves, could anticipate the next crisis. And you can understand that there is not only one crisis or one threat or one kind of insecurity. If you just have a look to the last 2 or 3 years, you can have in mind, of course, the COVID-19 crisis, but now the war in Ukraine. 2 years ago, of course, we thought about also Lebanon. And if we have a worldwide glimpse, we can say that in many countries, in Ivory Coast, in India, in Latin America, many of our universities are living in dire situations or in risky situations. And so the program that we launched today has a very specific purpose. It is to help our universities to face the several risks that today we know our universities are facing. Some key points about our conviction about this topic. First of all, we understand, as I just said, that internationalization of higher education resulted in a diversification of risk, a lot of risk that we must face. The second statement that I will propose is that the increased complexity of security and political situations requires international universities to adapt measures to prevent the risk incurred by their staff and students, and oblige them to put in place measures to protect them. And so there is this understanding also that probably our universities are not so well prepared because, as in many institutions, risk management organization is totally fragmented in universities when it exists. And universities find it very often hard to comply with some specific norms and standards that already exist, but generally exist for companies, for instance. And so the aim of IFCU today is probably to enhance knowledge and understanding on risk management in higher education context. So for this purpose, we would like to propose you three specific action activities and tools. The first one is that thanks to Pierre Memheld, we have prepared a specific training program about risk academic management. And so it will be a specific program, a presential training program that will occur, that will take place in next May in Rome. And Pierre will present you this program in a few minutes. The second activity is quite different. As I told you, we have created a specific intelligence artificial tool in order to prevent the next pandemic or epidemic. And it is a very specific tool that has been created for IFCU and for its members, of course. And I think that it is the first time that universities will have such a tool for helping them to prevent risk and to help them in their internationalization process. Of course, we have in mind with this tool that such a tool can help universities with student mobility. As you know, the COVID crisis has had a very important impact on the student mobility. And we can imagine that in the next future, it will be the same because of the war, because of the many risks that exist. The third activity that we will launch, not now, but probably in September, will be the writing of a specific international charter or code of conduct, or a kind of professional reference tool for gathering our universities, the network of our universities, around the same common understanding of what is risk academic management. So for that, we will probably ask to some of you to join us so that we can launch a collective process for the writing of this professional reference tool. And I hope that doing that, we will probably create a safe ecosystem for our universities and for the mobility among our universities. So thank you very much for being here today. And I will stop now and give the floor to Pierre Memheld.
Thank you. I will share my screen. But I have to apologize because I was ready to make a presentation in French. I didn't understand it was all in English. So just a second. Do you see my screen or the whole screen?
Yes.
PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So as said by François, the objective of the training offered in May in Roma is to put people in charge, or not really in charge, of risk management inside the universities in real case scenarios, real case situations. So the objective is not only to identify the risk, that this job has already, this task has already been done through the report presented and the synthesis presented by François. But when you have a risk identified, you have to look after the criteria in your environment which corresponds to this risk. And step by step and alert by alert, and with the help of a monitoring system or artificial intelligence system, it's doable to identify what will be the elements constituting a risk in the coming weeks, months, or maybe days, in order to be able to react to the risk. But also, more than to react, which is a worst case scenario finally, it's to anticipate the risk and also to prepare, to be ready to any kind of risk. So the core idea of this training, which will land in 2 days, is to prepare the people by identifying criteria of risk, key factors of this risk, and to give them some methodological tools and procedures to manage the risk and prepare the people, prepare the students, prepare the teachers, prepare the university management. So on the first day, it will be how to identify the risk, how to set up a monitoring on your environment, how to anticipate the possible evolution of a situation, any kind, not any kind, but some examples. And what is also a key concept, which is organizational resilience, the ability of any organization, in this case, universities, to keep on operating, even in the worst case situation. In the afternoon, it will be about analysis of the environment, all your environment, analysis method with focus on hypothesis, elaboration of scenarios of preparation and reaction, and simulation of beginning of the simulation of situations. On the second day, it will be about playing 2 scenarios. I haven't decided yet what will be these scenarios, but to play the scenarios based on the theoretical basis on the first day, and to see how people react, to make them understand the key steps and the key factors to how to react to a situation, any kind of situation. This is the key of this is short planning, 2 days, but I think it's already enough to present some procedures, tools, and methodologies. That's it from my part.
Okay, thank you.
Short one, sorry.
Thank you, Pierre. So in fact, for us, the process is exactly the same that the one we use when we organize some specific training session about the management of university, not risk management, but governance and management. We organize a 3 days or 2 days session in presential. And then if a university wants to go further, then she keeps in touch with the trainer, and you can, of course, go deeper and work on your own organization. It will be the same with Pierre, who is a very well-known specialist on this question. And so for those who would like to have a very specific system,
some specific kind of risk.
Yes, you can. You will be able to see with him how to go further. So thank you very much, Pierre. And if there is some questions, you can write these questions in the chat, or of course after the next presentation, we will have the opportunity to discuss with the intervenants. So now we will present you this specific tool I mentioned, the artificial intelligence tool that has been created for preventing pandemic. And it is my colleague Montserrat Alom, with the head of our International Research Center, who will present you this tool.
Thank you, Francois. So I will start by sharing my screen. So I have a presentation for you. So this is the one. So here it is. Can you see it right?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. So hello everybody. I'm glad to be here with you today and to present you briefly the tool that we have been working on for the past 2 years. So it's the Mileva-Ewer tool, which has been developed by our federation in partnership with International Focus, Mileva. And as you can see, and as Francois and Pierre mentioned just a few minutes ago, it's a tool on early warning and epidemic risks, a very specific tool. So before introducing the tool to you, I would like to say that we have produced a user manual for all those that are interested in having access to the tool and to using it and to being able to read and interpret all the information that you can get thanks to this tool, which is an online tool. In fact, it's a tool that it's been designed in the form of a platform, an online platform. So Mileva-Ewer is an artificial intelligence-based tool designed for monitoring health and detecting weak signals on a 5-year time scale. It is a major asset in the identification of weak signals well in advance of a health crisis. We're talking about anticipation, right? And that's why it's really useful to achieve better governance in terms of risk management, because you can anticipate risks and you can act in the best way possible when you have to manage the mobility of your people. And this is particularly useful for our institutions, for higher education institutions that have to deal with people mobility, right? Students mobility, staff mobility, professors mobility, and so on. Indeed, Mileva-Ewer is addressed to universities, right? Higher education institutions like ours, but also to any kind of institution having to manage people mobility. That's why this tool can also be useful for international organizations, NGOs, companies, early warning networks, governmental agencies, and I'm sure that other institutions that are not listed here. So Mileva-Ewer is structured around 8 major fields that have been called issues, have been labeled as issues. 8 fields that are linked to the emergence, propagation, and transformation of an epidemic into a pandemic. The 8 major issues that make up the basis of the tool can be seen on the graphic on the right. The issues are demography, the environment, access to health, economy, society or social issues, whistleblowers, international policies, and national policies. This is what we call in the jargon of future studies, the wall of epidemic risks, right? The issues related to this risk and constituting the wall. And within each major field or issue, there are a set of criteria that are taken into account. For example, within the environmental issue, we have aspects like the climate change, agriculture, deforestation of the country concerned, etc. If we look into society, the issue called society, we have, for example, all the aspects related to work, to like unemployment, having highly skilled workers or unskilled workers, the role, the quality, the means of education in the country, primary, secondary, higher education. If we take international policies, within international policies, you can find aspects, like, for example, the number and kind of collaborations, international collaborations that has the country with other countries or other institutions, whether the country is signatory to specific international conventions, whether it is recipient of aid, if it's a recipient of external aid, and so on and so forth. So these are the issues, right, making up the wall of risks. And then the tool is also structured around 4 main categories as far as diseases are concerned. They are called epidemic risks. In fact, they are the diseases. And so the tool covers diseases that are caused by bacteria, diseases that are caused by viruses, diseases that are caused by new zoonoses, and also unknown epidemics, unknown diseases. This means aspects that seem to show that there is an emerging, a new disease somewhere maybe in the making, but that has not been labeled as such so far. So the tool is able to detect these emerging elements that seem to point to the development of a new disease. So on the right column, you can see all the diseases already identified that are being covered by the tool. You can see cholera, HIV, monkeypox, Lassa fever, and so on. So this is the second element that you can find as the basis for the for Mileva-Ewer. So for those that want to have access and use the tool, I can tell you that the tool is based on a series of maps and tables. You will have access to several kinds of maps, tables, and charts. And there's also a portfolio open to all the users with the key documents that are being that are being examined by Mileva to make the analysis. I think it's important to say that the maps, the tables, the information that you will get, it has been classified in 2 different sections. In fact, there is a first section addressed to university officers, any university officer or member, anyone in fact, whereas there is a second section that is specifically designed for experts, for those that are already quite familiar with foresight studies or that have a background in medical studies or in the health sciences, because in the first section you will get, as I will show you now, maps that are synthesizing all the information gathered by the tool and doing so in a very simplified way, very easy for anybody to read and interpret, whereas the second section is more complex. You should already have some kind of training or background allowing you to look into the information in detail and being able to interpret it in a good manner, in a relevant manner. So this is an example of the kind of maps you will get on section 1, on the first section. This is, in this case, a map that synthesizes all the issues by country. The issues, remember, the 8 main fields I mentioned, demography, international policies, national policies. So here in this map, all these issues and, of course, criteria within these issues is synthesized. So at a glance, at one glance, you can see the situation in any country of the world. And if we want to, if we want to have more detailed information about a specific country, you just have to click on the country, and then a box will be displayed, like in this example with Brazil. The country will be in blue, will turn into blue, and then you will get a box with further information, more detailed information about the country selected. So this map, as I said, is the sum of all the issues by country in the world, and the way of interpreting this map, as you can see on the right, is that on a 5-year scale, regions in dark red have a higher probability of an epidemic risk emerging, spreading, or evolving due to the number and intensity of the issues affecting them. Issues, as I said, the 4 issues presented before. So this is an example of the kind of maps that you will have access to, and that anyone without specific formation, a specific training, can easily interpret. Here you have another example. This is the same map, the same kind of map that I have just shown to you. In this case, this map synthesizes not the issues, but the diseases, the epidemic risks. And the way of reading it, it's the same. It's also on a 5-year scale. Regions in dark red have a higher probability of an epidemic risk emerging, spreading, or evolving due to their sensitivity to certain types of epidemic meaning diseases. So this is a synthesis, right, of the diseases. As you can see, well, we are always talking about probability, probabilities. That's the main point of the tool, helping us to assess the degree of probability, right? And it's the same also with this map. You click on a country and you get more information about it. Now we switch to the second section, section number 2, the one addressed to experts. And here we have introduced additional notions to make things a little bit more complex and to make a more in-depth analysis. In this case, in addition to the issues and the diseases, we also introduce these 3 notions, which are very important in foresight studies. The notion of anticipation. This notion allows us to know whether the issue is being anticipated or not by the agents. Agents meaning, for example, higher education institutions, but also governmental agencies, NGOs, wherever. You have a second notion being introduced, which is the notion of signal. Here we are talking about strong signals, weak signals. We want to know whether the issue, specific issue, sends out or not a warning to agents, an epidemic risk warning signal to agents. And the third notion is the notion of perception. Because as you may know, a specific risk may be overestimated or underestimated by agents, depending also in the context they are based. So we have introduced in the second section these three additional notions, and the kind of maps, charts, and tables you can find in this second section allow you to cross-referencing variables. You may cross-reference the region with the issue, with the intensity of the signal, weak signal, strong signal, or with the perception of the agents, or whether the issue is being anticipated or not. So you can cross-reference a series of variables depending on the kind of analysis you want to make. I will not get into more detail. We'll just show you other charts and tables you can find in the second section. This is another example. You will also find a table with, while presenting the most significant trends at a global scale. In this case, what you can see is that for a specific issue, you have the evolution. You have a comparison between the past situation and the current situation, and then you can see whether the likelihood of the risk developing or evolving, whether the likelihood is increasing or decreasing. You can see the difference between the current and the past situation. This is possible because Mileva, this artificial intelligence system that you can find behind the tool, makes updates on a regular basis. It updates the data, and so you can quite easily see the variations for the different categories. Here, as I said, you can see the variation with regard to the issues, but you can also see variations with regard to areas of the world and also of risks of diseases, right? So this is another example. And the last one I wanted to show you, although there are other graphics and ways of getting detailed information for you to make solid right decisions. So the last graphic I wanted to show you is this one that also presents the evolution over time in a different way, with regard to the exposition signal. So here you can see another graphic. This one is based on the issue that we call demography, right? One of the 8 major issues identified by the tool, and you can see within the issue of demography, the sub fields or criteria taken into account, and the evolution for each of them. And you can see at the bottom the legend that shows that Mileva is doing these updates on a quite regular basis, as I mentioned. So these all these updates allow you to identify trends over time and to, to see whether what is going on is how to say this, whether the situation seems to be quite safe or not, whether the risk is getting higher or lower. So all these updates allow you to make this kind of analysis, right? And so, as I said at the beginning, there is a final section on the platform, which is the portfolio containing key documents. This section shows between 500 and 600 of the most relevant sources that are being used by Mileva to prepare all the charts and tables, all the data. Mileva is extracting information data from a large number of sources, and so here you can have a sample of the sources, only a sample, because Mileva is really using hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sources. So you also have a filter on this section if you want to see resources linked to a specific issue, risk, or area. For those that really want to go deeper in the analysis. So I think this is everything for now. And as we said, there is a training that can provide you more insights and more tools for you to be able to interpret at least the charts and graphics that are being displayed in the second section. So I strongly recommend you to register for the training that will be taking place soon in Rome, if you are interested in having access to the platform. So thank you so much, and don't hesitate, of course, to contact us in the meantime.
Thank you very much, Montserrat. I would just add that all the attendees will receive a very brief document next week with the specific, with some information, the specific website that has been created about this global project, and also how to subscribe to this intelligence tool. And we will have a specific tab next week, the news on the IFCU website, that will give the link to this new and specific website. So you will receive anyway all the information for going further. And as Montserrat told you, she has also her own mail address, and so you can also write her if you want some more information.